Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, the largest cryptocurrency YouTube channel on the planet with almost 2 million subscribers. The host there is making the case that in terms of the crypto market cycle, this time is different. And I generally disagree with that, so I'm going to share with you his arguments, but I just, the analysis, the rationale for it, no. Although I will make the point when we get to that part of the video that behaviorally, I'll say this, behaviorally, what we're seeing from typical retail investors, the actual behavior is different than what we saw 4 years ago after the crypto bubble inflated and then popped. That part's different, but that doesn't mean that market cycles don't exist. If anything, that just indicates that perhaps we're at a different part of the market cycle than people expected because crypto market cycles are lengthening. So there's that, and I want to talk a little bit about dominance of XRP, specifically because, I'll tell you what, when XRP was running up last market cycle, almost $4, my gosh, it was the superstar of the entire year of 2017 in terms of crypto. It absolutely was. And if you look at the beginning of last market cycle from bottom to top, it increased roughly 80,000%. And so I don't know exactly what the dominance percent was when it was at its peak because Bitcoin was already declining. But suffice it to say, Bitcoin at some point, although it's got a reasonable dominance level, all things considered at this point, we're going to see new lows, I would expect, before this cycle's over. So plenty to talk about here, but before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who makes YouTube videos about crypto topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this, XRP is down to 61 cents. Bitcoin is at 36,978, market cap at 1.73 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 40.48%. And it got down to last market cycle. It bottomed out somewhere in the neighborhood of 35%. Don't be surprised if it goes a good bit lower than that this market cycle when altcoins pop off. There are a lot more altcoins this particular market cycle. A lot of them. And so if we do see similar behaviors last market cycle during the alt season, meaning that even small and mid-cap coins are popping off, just understand that the multiplier effect in terms of percentage gains is going to be so substantial that it doesn't take much money flowing in to get tremendous market caps. And as a result of that, and especially with there being more coins, don't be surprised if you see Bitcoin dominance dip below 30%. So we'll have to see if that happens. I'm not going to make a prediction, but I'm just saying if that happens, wouldn't be surprised in the least. Here's the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Market participants feeling worse than yesterday at 20 out of 100, indicating the market is back in extreme fear. Yesterday was just in fear, but not extreme fear yesterday at 28 out of 100. Oh, the poor little stereotypical lemming retail purchasers just flying by the seat of their pants, folks. And here I am, like, it doesn't matter. I was here when XRP was down to 11 cents in March of 2020. Bitcoin at that time period got down to somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,800. I was optimistic. Like, you can go back to the videos I was making at that time. It was fine. Like, it didn't make sense. The emotions associated with all this is completely nonsensical. Here is a tweet from my fellow XRP YouTuber, the blockchain backer, from this afternoon. And he wrote, "It has been 77 days since this market has felt greed. In May and June, it was a 76-day stretch of fear. Today marks a new all-time record for longest consecutive time period of pain, the subconscious breaking point." Indeed, so it does make you wonder, how much longer is that going to last? And I don't pretend to know. But at some unknown point in the future, even though we're in extreme greed right now, we will enter greed and then extreme greed. The market will do that. I don't know when, but it's going to happen, right? This is a growing asset class despite pullbacks. You have to understand. Of course, that's the direction that we're heading. So it's just, it is what it is. So it's neat to see that we're that far along, and I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, is it really going to drag out much further? Well, maybe. We'll see. We're gonna figure that one out together. But take a look at this. There's a message I've been sharing with you, which is that at this point in the market cycle, 4 years ago, the Bitcoin bubble had clearly popped. Altcoins were taking off, and it's pretty clear that in terms of Bitcoin sales, money was flowing, or Bitcoin was flowing to exchanges so that people could sell it. And I've been pointing out, and here's more data on this, shared by Lark Davis, who is a popular crypto YouTuber himself, and he has 872,000 followers on Twitter. He shared the following. Here, I'll just pull this up full screen if you want to take a look at the chart too, but he tweeted out the following. Bitcoin has seen continual outflow from exchanges since the $69,000 peak and throughout the price drop, which is very different than what happened in 2021 when we saw huge inflows during the sell-off. And that's true too. Yeah, it was different. And yes, people were very fearful of the summer too. But what we're seeing right now is money flowing off exchanges. If it's off exchanges, it's not going to be sold. In fact, take a look at this headline from the Daily Huddle. Over $1.57 billion worth of Bitcoin moved off crypto exchanges in just 7 days. And this is a report from Santiment. So take a look at this. Well, the article's from the Daily Huddle, but it's from Santiment Info. A crypto analytics firm Santiment says that Bitcoin is flying off exchanges at its fastest rate in more than 4 months, a potentially bullish indicator for the top crypto assets. Let me just pause. This is why this is so fascinating to me. I don't know for sure if we're going to see another Bitcoin high. The blockchain backer says no. Pretty much every other analyst does think that we will see another Bitcoin high before this market cycle's over. So I don't pretend to know for sure. That's not the reason that I'm running YouTube channels to make silly ass Bitcoin and XRP price predictions. That's not what I do. I think it's fun to talk about, so I love making videos about this stuff. But in terms of if I were putting out numbers, I'd just be pulling it out my rear side, and so I'm not going to do that. I can talk about hopes and general expectations, but in terms of actual price predictions, I don't do that because it would be disingenuous here. But again, you know, potentially bullish indicator they write here. That's why I keep thinking, like, if Bitcoin's in a bear market, why aren't we seeing the same behavior that we saw 4 years ago? I mean, it just makes me think, because we can see clearly, like, the market cycles are lengthening. I don't think too many people dispute that at this point, right? So if that's the case, maybe Bitcoin does push up higher. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm just noting that we're not seeing the same behavior yet. Now, if we see all sorts of Bitcoin flow onto exchange and it's crashing, then we start to see altcoins take off, yeah. Then I'll think, okay, these are pretty clear indicators, historically at least, that this is the very end of this market cycle. But really, I'm looking forward to that, because that's the most fun part, where all of the altcoins that we all hold, that's when they're going to run. So I think the least opportunity will be seen for the remainder of this market cycle for Bitcoin holders. And I do hold Bitcoin myself, but I'm just saying, in terms of return from this point, Bitcoin's going to be probably the least exciting, even though it still leads the market. And then all of the altcoins, that's where the true money is to be made here. Anyway, piece continues. The Crypto Insights firm notes in a new tweet that 40,785 Bitcoin, worth over $1.57 billion at a time of writing, moved off exchanges in the past week, marking the highest weekly outflow total since mid-September. And here's a quote. The continued trend of coins moving to cold wallets is historically good for long-term price movements. End quote. And so, folks, that's just a cold hard fact. I love seeing that. I'd love to see Bitcoin go much higher. But the good news is, for those of us that are holding altcoins and XRP specifically, the best is yet ahead either way. Whether Bitcoin hits another all-time high or doesn't, we're sitting pretty as far as I'm concerned. That's my expectation anyway. And then there was this. I'll just mention this. I don't really want to talk about United States debt in this video right now. It's just, it really steams on my vegetables, but I don't feel like getting into it now. I really don't. But the other day, the news broke, and you may have heard this. The United States debt has officially crossed over $30 trillion. Now, that's some silly-ass nonsense as far as I'm concerned. That is not sustainable. That cannot last forever without ramifications. And so it just makes me think that I actually retweeted that the other day, and I shared that a GIF, that meme of whatever that character is from whatever cartoon show, where it's like, I think it's a dog, he's sitting on a chair and sipping on coffee or something, and the entire room's on fire, and he's just saying, this is fine. That's what I thought of when I was like, when I saw the U.S. debt broke $30 trillion. Oh yeah, this is fine. Everything's on fire, but yeah, this is fine. And then Nayib Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador, he sarcastically tweeted out, he retweeted that from Pomp and wrote, El Salvador debt is on an unsustainable path, obviously. So obviously in comparison to the United States debt, not looking so hot. And then somebody else here shared this. They wrote, this will age like effing milk, which is similar to something that I frequently say, which is that... it's typically when the Bitcoin maxis come out saying nonsense about XRP, I will note that their comments will age like a fine milk. And so share this, and this is interesting. And some people they like to rip on El Salvador and Nayib Bukele, the president, for doing what he's done and purchasing all this Bitcoin because they're down right now. And I just think that's so short-sighted. Fast forward another decade or two to see how the everything plays out, and when we have a mature market, fine. So admittedly, El Salvador is on the earlier side in terms of adoption, but if you just look historically what's happened with the price action of Bitcoin, fine, El Salvador is actually down right now in their investment, and I'm just sitting here thinking, so what? To anybody that's saying, see, you guys are idiots, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are the typical retail speculator that probably gets wrecked. Because the short term doesn't matter. I was down in my investments for years when I was buying during the bear market because I bought pretty close to the bottom. So I was either down or neutral for just the vast majority of the time that I've been in crypto, frankly. So what? You have to think longer term that the market trends up. And so here what you have is 9 different purchases of Bitcoin by El Salvador. And you can see the most recent one, January 21st. That's the lowest they purchased at $36,000. They purchased as high as $58,000. And so this first column in red shows the estimated gain/loss in terms of United States dollars. The second column is the gain or loss in terms of percent. And you can see at the bottom the tally. They're actually down. So they spent I'll just use round numbers here, $85 million. They spent $85 million on Bitcoin. And at the time that this was updated, it was worth only $66 million, again, rounding numbers, which meant that their holdings were a little bit less than down, or their investment was down a little bit less than $19 million, or 22% roughly. So they've lost $19 million by dabbling in Bitcoin, but it depends on the time frame you select, because if you went back at some point, probably in October, then they are probably up about the same percent. It just depends on what time frame you're looking at. And the volatility is a known factor. It's to be expected. And so look at this. Here's the difference. El Salvador, we'll see if they end up bailing. I'm not convinced. I suspect that given that it's a country doing this, that they are going to have, as they say, diamond hands. They'll probably behave more or less like a whale that knows what the hell they're doing, and they're not going to be selling at a loss. That would be my guess. We'll see what happens. But that's not what the typical retail investor. But I just kind of wanted to highlight this because this is what it's like to invest, especially in crypto, which is highly volatile. I've told my story. I just briefly reiterated it now. I was down a good bit for a number of years, but then you let time pass and the asset class grows. Not rocket science, folks, but you have to know that this happens and then not emotionally respond. That's what they're doing now. They just haven't been in crypto that long. Their first purchase was only September 6, 2021. This should not be surprising in the least. Now, in terms of dominance, this was a tweet shared by chart analyst Credible Crypto. And I'm not going to read the chart, but I did want to have it full screen. So for those of you looking, feel free to read if you want to pause and take a look. But I did want to share the tweet because it summarizes it rather succinctly. And he wrote, my thoughts on Bitcoin dominance at this time. Long story short, Bitcoin outperforms during initial stages of our final fifth wave impulse. Alts steal the show after that as Bitcoin tops. Dominance makes a new all-time low before this is all over. And so Credible Crypto is definitely one of the individuals that does see Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high. He does think that it's going to be over $100,000 this market cycle. He does believe at some point after it tops out, then altcoins are going to steal the show, running just like we saw roughly several years ago when XRP really stole the show and hit an all-time high of almost $4 on January 4th, 2018. It's like that all still going to happen. And he does still believe XRP is going to hit at least $10, but more likely $20 to $30. That's his best guess. So we're all going to find out together. I don't pretend to know where it's going to land. I'm just as interested and curious as everybody that's listening to this. But either way, my guess is that it's going to be, wherever it tops out, it's going to be worth way more than it is today. And I'm going to patiently wait for that day. I've already been waiting over 4 years. I expected it would be a multi-year experience. This doesn't shake me. It doesn't make me feel impatient. I'm just as, I kid you not, I'm just as patient as I was when I was brand new to crypto. Because I already had that expectation thanks to the stock market. My expectation with the stock market has always been you invest for decades and decades and decades. So now when you're talking about crypto, it's like, oh, market cycles are faster, so maybe it's even less than that. Maybe it's 5 or 10 years. Oh, how about that? Well, that sounds even easier. I am as patient as you could possibly imagine. Whatever the most patient is that you could imagine, that's what I am. And I just feel great, sleeping easy. The best days are yet ahead. It's just why I keep saying it doesn't make sense to be fearful, even if the price goes down. That's what I think, anyway. Now, as far as the idea of this market cycle being different than the last, I got a few things to say. So here's the headline from Daily Hodl. Crypto winter, question mark, which is why my voice goes up like this with the inflection. Coin Bureau says digital assets are completely different from last bear market. Here's why. And the piece reads as follows. The host of the popular YouTube channel Coin Bureau thinks digital assets are in a completely different place than they were during the crypto winter of 2018/2019. Pause. Yes, because we're not in a crypto winter, right? So that's certainly true. You'll find as we go through this, like, I'll just be upfront. Nothing against Coin Bureau on a personal level, and the guy that runs it, his name is Guy, actually. And I just keep finding that I disagree with a lot of what this guy says. I just don't think a lot of what he says makes sense. I think his analysis historically of what he said about Ripple and XRP, just in a general sense, it's been factually incorrect. And even when you take away the factual portion of it, when he does his individual analysis, I think he misses the mark personally. Not saying that to be rude. I'm just sharing my opinion because I think it's fun to just share ideas and have thoughtful discussion and talk to people that have different perspectives than you. That's all that I'm doing there. So just be clear, no venom spewing. But I do find that his perspective is a bit curious a lot of the time. Anyway, the pseudonymous analyst known as Guy tells his 1.92 million YouTube subscribers that the two time periods are almost incomparable. And here's a quote from him. The markets have evolved. More people know about crypto. More people are using crypto. The investors are different. The investors are investing based on different theses. The conditions that led to the last crypto winter are nowhere to be found. Pause. I could not disagree more with that. The investors are provably behaving the same as they were several years ago. How can I prove that? Okay, well, just take a look at how the market moves in tandem. Okay, this is not what you see with the stock market. Yes, there can be big swings. Everything goes up, everything goes down in a general sense. But I think that pretty much, I don't think this is something that's going to be controversial. Stocks, in a general sense, they're voted on by, in terms of investing. I mean, dollars go in, dollars go out. Because that's the voting process. If you're going to, whether or not you're going to invest in something, the stocks, they're voted on based on merit and value and perceived value, what it might be worth. With crypto, though, the whole market just moves in tandem. Now, not down to the second, the minute, the day, the week, so on and so forth, but it does. And so they're behaving exactly the same. And he's saying this time is different, and investors are behaving different, but they're not. Other than, yes, so we're not in a bear market right now. I mean, so if that's what he meant, then I could agree with that. But if anything, that just means to me that, if anything, the crypto market cycles are lengthening, which I think pretty much everybody agrees to. But in terms of investor behavior, that's the same. The part that I'm saying is different is that this point 4 years ago, people were behaving different because there was extreme fear and we were entering bear territory. The bubble had popped, alt season had occurred. We haven't seen alt season yet, right? But after that happens, I anticipate that whenever that happens, so even if it's a lengthening cycle, people will be behaving at that point just as they did in December of 2017 and January of 2018 in terms of panic. Well, everything runs up and then bubbles inflate and then pop. That's still going to come. So that's why. Anyway, Pete continues. Guy argues that unlike the massive boom in initial coin offerings that caused the price bust in 2018, prices are down right now due to external factors. Now, just pause to note, if you think about that, that means that it's basically like saying we haven't had alt season yet because of external factors, not because we just have a lengthening cycle historically, which I would dispute. But here's his quote. He says, "The markets are tanking right now because of factors that are way, way outside of the crypto market. A global pandemic and monetary stimulus not seen in over 100 years are pretty likely to have big implications for nearly all asset classes, and crypto is no different. In fact, part of the reason that we're seeing these moves is precisely because crypto has become such an investable asset class. Those institutional investors who allocate to equities are now taking general risk off the table. They're not discriminating between Ethereum and Netflix, Bitcoin and Tesla. They are worried about the Fed hiking rates, war with Russia, supply chain disruptions, pandemic variants, its global macro landscape, and crypto is being caught up in it." Okay. No. They're not discriminating between Ethereum and Netflix. Are you kidding me? almost no institutional money is going into crypto. Yes, they're discriminating between Ethereum and Bitcoin or pick your crypto and Netflix. Oh, hell yes, they are. There's almost no money in terms of institutional money. That's provably true. I didn't even bother pulling up stats because I don't think anybody listening would dispute. I'm surprised that this guy with almost 2 million subscribers is actually saying that. That's kind of a silly position to take because it's clearly not true. Just look at any survey that's been done, and you can see. I have highlighted surveys even in recent months. I just didn't feel it necessary to pull up the specifics on it. It doesn't matter. It's just not the case. I'm very surprised that somebody would think this. Now, in terms of these other external factors that are affecting things, look, I'll just say this. The stock market is still, in a general sense, trending upwards. Crypto follows the big moves of the stock market, and so there we are. I'm not buying into this narrative. I just think that the crypto market, it's lengthening in terms of market cycle. More likely than not, at some point we're going to see an alt season. And maybe it's, in terms of the time it takes to get to that point this time, maybe that technically could be a little bit different. But in terms of market structure, I don't see any indication to think that that's going to be different. And this is why the technical analysts, they have so much trouble with time just in a general sense. It's because they can see the market structure, but certain portions of the market cycle, they can go faster, they can go slower, it ebbs and flows, and so in terms of time, and that's why they can't guess it. But yes, the market structure, they can see that, But no, the timing of it's always been difficult here. So that's my breakdown of what is different and isn't different in a general sense here. But suffice it to say, like, again, the good news, as far as I'm concerned, I do genuinely believe this, we'll see, but alt season's coming. XRP's going to hit its all-time high, and it's going to enter a new realm of price discovery, and I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't pretend to. We're in uncharted territory in some senses, and I'm just going to be patient because I see everything trending together upwards in general despite massive pullbacks. I will not be shaken. That's it. That's my stance. So that's what's going. Let me know what you think below, but I'll wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.